Today we have Gianmarco Soriesi. It sounds like crazy. That's the best way to remember anyone's name I've maybe ever heard. So, Gianmarco, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. Please tell us about a song that your ex ruined.
The song that an ex ruined is Wannabe by the Spice Girls.
How old were you?
Yeah.
Quite young, second grade. I started the dating game early.
Wow.
Physical contact at all, not even hand holding. I don't even think hugs, but I think I was just a romantic. So it was second grade. I just moved to a new school and I met a girl named Caroline. And Caroline came from a more conservative family.
Okay.
Definitely not a family that was like, cool. Our second grade daughter's going on a date?
I have some few questions, but I'll hold my questions till the end.
Yeah.
I mean, this was prime Spice Girls. I owned Spice World on VHS. I think this was their first album. So it was huge. It was gigantic. They had exploded. And in that way, that's, strange. They exploded with adults and with children all the way down. We all had I was a Baby Spice guy. That was my favorite.
Oh, that's very cute.
Early age.
Did you have the pigtails?
Yeah, with the pigtails and the lollipop in a way that was like, just, I don't know, very, I don't know.
Very normal, not creepy, and also definitely put this on your dating profile at some point.
Yes, exactly. And my dad got tickets. This was in DC. And my dad was also dating at the time. My parents are many times divorced. So my dad and I decided we'd go on a double date.
Wow. This is highly romantic and completely weird.
Much better than now. When I go on a double date with my dad, his girlfriends are usually younger than mine. This was back in a time when, fortunately, that was not the case. So,
No, but this is a great opportunity for say BetterHelp should definitely sponsor us because I feel like some of our guests could use a little therapy to talk this stuff through. Like if you're going on dates with your dad, maybe talk about it.
This woman would end up being my first stepmom. Not the person I was seeing, the person my dad was seeing. So we asked her parents, and her parents were just horrified. Her parents just thought like, oh, we don't have to deal with this until high school. They said yes, but they had one very firm rule. She had to be home by 10. And
that's really late for second grade. That feels like a late night date. This was like their one rule for the concert specifically, or
just in general. I think like they were like, I cannot believe this is happening. And also my dad was not like, oh, my dad will be there, so it'll be cool. My dad was like, not the ideal dad. He was divorced, dating. He wore a leather jacket and tank tops. So I'm amazed that they let her do it. But I imagine that she was like, I have to see the Spice Girls, please. And that might be late for second grade, but that's quite early for a concert.
For sure. And this would have been a stadium show, right? Like, where did you go to the concert at?
I forget the name of it, but it was a massive. We were seated all the way in the back, like in the lawn where it's just grass. They're like, we don't even bother to put chairs here. We know you'll buy it.
Yeah, you said you were in DC.
Yeah,
so it's probably Merriweather Post.
Yeah.
I've seen many shows there and sitting on the lawn.
The lawn is the best place to be.
It was good.
It's
good
where
for
the
a date.
are.
For sure.
Yeah.
Good for a date.
Spread out a blanket.
And I don't know who was opening. I feel like it was a boy band. Like, I don't know if it was like LFO, is that what they're called?
LFO. Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like there was like a boy band open.
Nice.
And then
classic pairing.
I was expecting to watch most of the concert because it's supposed to start at 8. But basically, the Spice Girls came on stage right around the time to go mark.
No. Oh, no.
So we had to leave as the Spice Girls were coming on stage for the first time. And
that's heartbreaking.
All I remember was like literally leaving right as I believe it's Melanie B was singing, "Yo, I tell you what I want, what I really, really want," which they were opening the show with. And all I wanted was to stay at that concert. It destroyed that song for me. And I even got a letter the next day that I did save from Caroline, and it says, "Dear Gianni," which was my nickname in middle school, "I would just like to thank you for taking me to the Spice Girls concert. I have been singing their songs for weeks. The poster your dad bought for me is hanging up on my door so I can see it
Aw.
whenever I walk into my room. I had the best time ever. Your friend, Caroline."
No.
Oh, well, she let
Oh,
you down easy, at least.
wow.
That's
Wow.
pretty mature for a second grade. What, you're 7 in second grade usually? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that sounds right.
that's a pretty advanced breakup letter for a 7-year-old.
Yeah, I would imagine her mom or dad wrote this. I imagine her dad wrote this letter and signed her name.
Do you still have the letter?
I have a picture of it. I don't know if I have the physical copy, but maybe I do because I took this picture. But you can see you can see that she signed it because she signed it in the cursive that we were learning at that time.
Oh, this is like
But do you
heartbreaking.
think it was her dad who was like, your friend? Like, I'm going to make this extremely clear. It is your friend, not your girlfriend, not love, not XOXO. Like, there's a firm Christian line in the sand going right here.
That's what I think. I'm sure that he wished he had typed "your friend in Christ, Caroline."
Peace be
Uh,
with you and also with you.
and that same year, she ended up leaving me, whatever that means in the context of this relationship. She left me for another guy named Steven, who recently came out of the closet.
I can relate to that. I was the girl who always my favorite member of any boy band was the one that later came out of the closet. So
Sure.
there's something about that sort of like non-aggressive, easygoing, low stakes guy in the group that's like very appealing.
You were like, I'm going to marry Lance Bass. Lance Bass and
100%.
we're going to hook up all night long.
100%.
Yeah, it was very strange because I feel like most men or boys who go to Spice Girls concerts in second grade and whose favorite Spice Girl is Baby Spice have come out by the time they're my age. But that's not the case for me. I think this was a very peculiar blend of my heteronormative wanting to date a girl and non-heteronormative wanting to see Spice Girls. Just a real combination into one fabulous night.
Right? It's like those guys who go to Harry Styles concerts. Like you have an audience full of people who are completely amped up and so excited. And all you need to do is wear a flowery button down shirt,
Yeah,
unbuttoned a little, of course, and you're in, whether you're gay or straight. Every guy who wants to hook up should be going to all of these concerts.
of course.
Yeah. Or the gay men. I mean,
Sure.
honestly.
1,000,000%. And there's a whole conversation to be had about like I've seen a lot of women on TikTok talking about what women find attractive and why we find these men attractive and why men think we find them attractive and how different those things are. Like the sort of non-confrontational of it, the accepting of it, the embracing of the feminine of it. That's what we like. So all you have to do is show up and embrace your feminine, and girls are going to be like, yes, sign me up for that.
Amen.
What I want to know about your story is, did you have residual like hangover feelings every time you heard Wannabe after this? Like, does it still bring up the memory of Caroline?
Yeah, I just remember. Oh, I should say that I cried when we
Aw.
left. I mean, I really, really
I would
cried.
cry.
I knew it really just felt like a cruel trick. So yeah, I think for a while I whenever I heard it, all I could think about was like the thing I didn't get to see and how I should have. I should have. I would have been fine if my dad left me and took her home. Whatever. I'm done.
Well, it's like you had a double rejection because you ended up not getting to see the group that you wanted to see, literally being teased by the song that you were dying to see them perform as you had to leave. And then afterwards, this girl like double whammies you.
Yeah. So it just of all the Spice Girls, and
This
they're
girl and her dad, technically.
yeah, the dad is definitely there somewhere. So I still listen to a lot of Spice Girls, but I tend to skip this one. Something about this one
Aw.
spoiled for me.
How do you feel about the song Sweet Caroline?
That's what I was going to ask you.
I am changing the words for sure. Sweet is not the adjective I throw.
Oh, I remember the third grade who named Marcus, who would pick a different girl and chase her around the classroom after recess every day, like after lunchtime,
Yeah.
and try to kiss her. and
I
everybody
believe
ran
it's called
away.
sexual harassment.
Yeah, now that's called sexual assault. But
Uh-huh,
back then
uh-huh.
it was called, oh, isn't that cute? And I think that that made me really terrified to get into relationships for like through junior high. I was just like, I don't know, this is terrible. But had there been a moment like this where you were bonded over love of a song or a group, you're going to go to the concert together. I mean, I think that would have really changed some of my formative experiences. So I'm a little jealous that you got to have that moment, almost like the essence of that moment.
Yeah.
I kicked the only boy who ever tried to kiss me in kindergarten.
That's a good move. I applaud it.
Yeah, I had quite the reputation in kindergarten for punching and kicking people.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I have brothers. What can I say? It was like, oh, you want to try and kiss me? I don't think so.
Yeah, no thanks. Well, so this brings up an interesting topic to me that I think about a lot. When do you develop your own taste in music as a kid? Like, when do you stop listening to the music your parents listen to and start finding the Spice Girls? For me, it was Bananarama.
I'm your Venus. Nice.
I'm a musical theater kid, and I feel like I followed along the trends. I was into all the kind of junky pop stuff of my life. The Spice Girls, Backstreet, NSYNC, and then into Eminem and Limp Bizkit. TRL did inform my taste for a long, long time. And then I fell in love with musical theater, and it's really warped my musical tastes. I had a girlfriend in high school back when we were burning CDs, and like she burned me a CD of like Belle and Sebastian and romantic songs, and I burned her a CD of my favorite musical theater songs with a letter that gave context for each one of the songs so she could understand how it fit into the libretto.
Wow.
Wow.
And my workout playlist is for me alone. No one is gonna listen to it. No one.
How exactly does one go from Limp Bizkit to like the Hamilton soundtrack though?
Well, Hamilton's a little. If you listen to
Okay, so Les Mis. Let's just say oh,
Les
Sweeney
Mis,
Todd.
there's a little bit of bangers. There's a little bit of rage and anger. But I think I like the Limp Bizkits or the Eminem because they like had a narrative. Like in a way, Eminem would have like stories, and Limp Bizkit, he'd get increasingly mad, and then it would climax, and that's like a very musical theater type thing. Like now, I don't know. I listen to some Drake now, and it's all just kind of the same level. It's all just like I'm doing well, I'm doing well, I'm doing well. I need someone who's I'm fucked up, I'm angry, and I'm gonna yell, and then we're out.
Oh wait, so you want the angry stuff. You want the people you don't want like your Lana Del Rey's, someone who's just mad.
Yeah, a My Chemical Romance for sure. It's
Oh,
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
nice.
I need someone who's not in a good place, and by the end, it's worse.
So you sound like someone who what was on MTV, TRL in particular, but maybe MTV more broadly as like time went on, that really influenced you in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, this where Eminem reigns supreme. The
Mm-hmm.
making of the music video for the NSYNC. What's the one where they were the puppets? Not Bye Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye Bye. They did the dance, but what was the one where they
Oh,
literally, it's gonna be
in the
me.
supermarket?
It's gonna
Yes, it's
be
going to
me.
be me. That's right.
Christina Aguilera. I mean, Britney. All that stuff. I'm excited for Britney's comeback. Nervous, but
Yeah.
excited. We'll see.
Interesting that she paired with Elton John to do a cover for the first song. That's like a strong choice.
Yeah,
Not sure what to make of that completely
it's
yet.
it's a pretty safe choice. Just like I don't know, for my first song, I'll just do a song that already was a hit.
Yeah, that everyone loves and already has had a second life, and this will be its third. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's
She also
smart.
made a song for everybody
Hmm.
and their parents.
Exactly. So I was actually working at MTV during the era you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah, and I've always wondered. I would have been in my early 20s then. I've always wondered
Brittany's
about the
responsible for
kids.
all your taste in
That's
music.
not true. That's not true. I did not support any of that music at all. I was a real snob at the time. But we were in 1515 in Times Square, and I would hear kids screaming, specifically when Backstreet, NSYNC, Eminem, or Britney were there. Those were like the loudest days. Like we were on the 25th floor and you could hear people on the ground yelling. I always wondered how those kids turned out. Like how much of that music did they hold on to? How much did they grow out of? So you're my new test audience. Tell me, how much of that did you hold on to?
I held on to it so deeply. There's something about that like junky pop music that's so kind of generic and repetitive, but I love it.
The
And
Max Martin stuff, like it's all Max Martin stuff.
yeah, and the dance, I mean, sometimes I have trouble getting into new music, and sometimes when I watch a music video, suddenly I'm like, "Oh, I think it enhances it so much." And back then, the digestion of music videos was so much a part of the music experience that I think it just created attachments to the songs that like I just don't get now. I have to really
Yeah.
go out of my way to watch a music video. But back then, like that's just what I was consuming. And people like Eminem, like they were they were bold, they were risky, they like did like In Sync, the puppet one, they were cool and inventive, and the dancing was so great. I
And
love
it
the dancing.
was an event when those people released a music video. Like you would go home to make sure to see it the first time that it played.
And TRL would play it forever.
Yeah.
And I always got mad because TRL, they always would cut the music video short. Like they'd do like a minute. And then so they could play more commercials. And I would always be so pissed at Carson Daly. Like, why did you cut it off before Justin's dance break?
First of all, Carson Daly had nothing to do with it. He had the least control of everyone in the room.
Sure. Probably for the
But
best.
he should get the blame anyway. I feel like he can just be blamed for pretty much everything anyway.
He was actually really nice. Of all the VJs, Carson was actually a really nice one. There were some who weren't, but I'm not going to name names.
Why?
Nobody cares
David-
anymore. Because nobody cares.
Oh, I care. I really want to know now.
But I also have been curious about once that stuff, like you mentioned Limp Bizkit, but once like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all those bands started infiltrating TRL, it seemed like such an easy fit. Kids didn't have any problem embracing it. And I always wondered about that dichotomy. Like, what about that sort of new metal and also the Eminem, all the rage songs just worked fine for them right next to all that pop music?
Yeah, I don't know. It all just felt like part of the same universe. Like Christina Aguilera, I was a fan of her music, and then Eminem kind of calls her out in his song, and Eminem calls out Mariah Carey. Sometimes the beef like makes it like work together. They're a part of each other's world. And so I was just excited to listen to every aspect of that.
Nice. I mean, true. It did feel very insular because of all the time they spent together at TRL and awards shows and
Yeah, beefs don't seem to like cross genres anymore. There's beefs in like rap. There might be beefs in rock and roll, but you rarely have a beef in rap mixed with like, Shakira. Like it's just like, but that would be cool.
Oh my God, I would love to see Shakira just like call out Drake and be like, that's it.
I think Shakira just got arrested for tax evasion or something, so she's too busy to like get
Sure.
into the beef business. But should she
Shakira
call out anyone,
calls out the IRS.
it
That's
should
the fun
be
stuff.
J-Lo for all the shit that J-Lo talked in her documentary about Shakira.
That's true. I would
Oh
love
God, I need to see that. I worked with J-Lo. I was in Hustlers. So I need to
How
see
was that
documentary.
experience?
It was so quick. It was a 1 a.m. shoot. She changed into her 20th outfit of the day, and given it all the circumstances, she was perfectly pleasant.
That's good. Good. I love to hear that.
Amazing. I had more of a comment than a question, which is that my cousins are visiting from Switzerland, and I had never met his wife before, and she told me that her favorite band was Limp Bizkit, and I didn't know how to respond.
I wouldn't know what to say to that in like any timeline.
No,
either.
I was just like, oh, okay, that's nice.
They had some
Anyway,
hits. Nookie was a great song. Nookie,
Yeah, but
I was singing Nookie when I did not know what
yeah,
it was.
Nookie was.
Truly not a thing. Not a thing.
It's one thing to enjoy a song or two or like the hit songs of a band. It's another for them to be your favorite band. Like that's a statement.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I was completely stunned because how can that possibly be the band that you love more than any other band in the entire world, in all of human history? Like, I guarantee you there were some guys hitting rocks together around a campfire back in the caveman era who had more jams. Like, what are you doing? Have you not heard any other music? Anyway,
Lots of strong choices being made there. So my last question is, you talked about growing up and growing into musical theater soundtracks and really enjoying that. And I love the idea of you putting together a mixtape using those songs. Does that mean that you are a person who really appreciates the lyrics in songs?
Yeah, very much so. And that's also another reason why I struggle with contemporary rap. Not that I know the whole landscape, but like there's some rap where I'm like, I can't follow what they're saying. It's
Yeah.
just like it feels very secondary to the music. And I like hearing the words. Like Eminem, I feel like Eminem, he's gone too crazy with some of the rhymes, and he just seems like someone who like mastered the form and is now just fucking around a little bit too much. But
Yes.
but yeah, I need the words. I need to know what the song is about. So I grew up with listening to Stephen Sondheim and William Finn. And I studied those lyrics. I printed out those lyrics. I read them along with the song. So yes, lyrics are very, very important.
Well, so Melissa and I started the idea for this podcast came because of us sharing some stories about men in our lives who've either, sent us YouTube links to songs or made us mixtapes with songs where they clearly didn't listen to the lyrics and it was super creepy. And you're just like, did you think this is romantic? So we've been trying to hash out, like, do men listen to lyrics, or do they just respond to melody, or do they respond to melody over lyrics and that's all secondary?
Well, to answer your question, men who go to Spice Girls concerts in
Super
second grade do listen to lyrics.
nice.
That seems like a
Clearly.
that seems like a good line. Like, okay, let me ask you an important question. Did you go to Spice Girls concerts in second grade? Because then I will understand why you sent me this song.
If yes, you can make me a mixtape. If no, please go away. Don't do it. So that's it. Your heartbreak song goes back to second grade, and nobody has fucked up any songs for you since then. That's the moment.
Yep, that's
Wow,
the
that's
moment.
pretty impressive. That's pretty good. That's a good record.
I did it early.
That's good. Get that out of the way, quick and easy. Gianmarco, can you tell us a little bit where people can find you, what other projects you have working on, where people can get more deep thoughts on Limp Bizkit and Stephen Sondheim and the crossover between?
Well, you can find me everywhere online at Gianmarco Soresi. It's just my name. And that's where I post all my tour dates. I'm pretty much touring every weekend around the country. Otherwise, I'm in New York performing at the Comedy Cellar and some other places. So again, Gianmarco Soresi for all that. And then my podcast is called The Downside, where I have guests on and I encourage them to complain and be negative and reveal all their family secrets. So listen to The Downside or watch it on YouTube, but that's wherever you get your podcasts.
So you felt completely prepared to be on this podcast and complain about somebody ruining a song for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's right on brand.
Obviously, Gianmarco is a comedian, as you could tell from today's conversation. You definitely need to go see him live.
Songs My Ex Ruined is a production of Nevermind Media. Executive producers are Melissa Locker and Courtney E. Smith. Produced and edited by Stephanie Aguilar. Sound design and theme song by Madeline McCormick. Artwork by Sophie Locker. Additional production support from Casey, Steve, Archer, Bimo, Newton, and all the other good dogs and cats out there.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Songs My Ex Ruined. If you're enjoying this podcast, giving us a review or a rating on your favorite podcast app would really help. And follow us to get new episodes as soon as they drop.